Airman Barbo, you work on one of these things?
Yes, sir. I have quite a number of times.
Find the duty pretty pleasant?
No, not very pleasant.
What some of the things you've been through, and tell us about some of the rocketing here into Tonsanut and your involvement in it.
Well, I was here during the time of Tet, during the big offensive that the BC had, and that was quite hectic. And that's not as bad as these rockets they've got. It's 122 millimeters, and I think I'd rather go through one of these ground assaults anytime than one of these rockets.
Tell us a little bit about what you've been through with the rockets.
Well, the number of attacks I've been through, I think it's been about 33 rocket attacks I've been through, and they shoot these 122 millimeters in, and they're pretty hectic also. And a number of times I've been caught out of the bunker, and if one of those things catch you out and hit pretty close, it's pretty bad business.
You move pretty fast?
Yeah, you'd be surprised how fast you can move.
You keep smiling when you say this. I don't understand why.
Well, I think the reason I keep smiling is because every time I think about it, you feel like you want to cry, so you smile to keep from crying.
There's a young lady in Dallas that sent in your name. I imagine you'd like to say hello to her and your parents and so on who are there.
Yes, I think you brought to me one of the girls, Virgie Jacinto, that wrote in to have this. I'd like to say hello to you and also to my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Barbo, who live in Dallas.
Tech Sergeant, what's your job here on the base?
At the present time, I'm an assistant flight commander with the law enforcement here at Tonsanut.
Law enforcement, then you must have pretty much to do with the guys and with maybe the morale problems and so on. Could you explain to me what problems you might have?
Well, about the biggest problem that we have here is that the servicemen here are anxious to go back home. Once they complete their tour duty, they are ready to go home. But I have noticed the morale here at Tonsanut is very, very high, and it's very outstanding. And these people are here for 1 year tour duty, and they try to do the best of their ability so that they can do the job and return back to their families and their parents back home.
Have you participated in the Tet Offensive and these things that have happened around here, and could you tell me about your reaction and the reaction of some of the others?
Bob, Bob, I got here the day the Tet Offense started. So I didn't get to see too much of the Tet Offense. But I have been here in the second small Tet Offense that we had, and it was something, an experience, and you'll be surprised when it comes down to the last and the time to go, these people are ready to go. The morale is still high, and they know they got to do this job, and they go out there ready to do it.
What do you do out here?
I just law enforcement, I work base law enforcement.
What about during the Tet Offensive? I understand you had a bunker and did some shooting out there. Could you tell us about it?
Oh, well, all I did was, had a bunker out there and just watch, the enemy come over the fence, I guess.
Every time I talk to you guys who are part of this Tet Offensive, you come across with this, well, I didn't do much of anything. I just saw the enemy and took shots at him. I think you got a little nervous, didn't you?
Well, of course you gotta get nervous, but, well, it was the first time I've been through this, so I didn't think too much of it, really.
Is it, how do you feel when it's all over? Are you frightened? Or you feel like you've learned something from it? You feel like you're a better man for having been through it, or what?
Well, I feel like I learned a little bit more, from it, and I think I could, try to do better next time, yes.
You feel like you're here to do the job?
Oh, yeah.
Yet sometimes you feel like you want to go home and get rid of this thing, or do you feel like, well, it's okay so long as you have to do it?
Oh, every day, I guess. I go home any time, I guess.
Well, we thank you very much for talking to us, and good luck. I think, sir, you've had some excitement since you've been here on the base.
Yes, we've had a couple of exciting days here during Tet Offensive. Learn how to take cover pretty quick, learn how to protect yourself.
What exactly does your job consist of?
Well, I'm the NCIC of the Quality Control Section here at Tonsanut. And we're responsible for inspecting all the aircraft, for all maintenance that's performed on them, depending on the type of inspection, as to the depth of our inspection.
Anything back home that been bugging you lately?
Well, I think all the draft card burners should come over here and see what we're doing and stand up for some of the things and the rights that America stands for.
Your wife asked us to come over, and I imagine you have some things you'd like to say to her.
Yes, I'd like to say hello to my wife, Edith, and to Jim and to Stephanie. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sergeant Nagel, what do you do here at Townsend?
I'm a jet engine mechanic, and I work on jet engines, repair them, inspect them, and so forth.
With all that you have to do here, do you get to keep up with what's going on back home?
Oh yeah, we get all the newspapers, and I have the newspapers sent from home, and we get good news programs here, and so forth.
What do you feel about some of the things happening there?
Well, I like to see a lot of them people over there that's doing all this protesting over here. I think they changed their minds.
When you first came over, did you feel, after you got here, more of a realization of what you were involved in?
Right, you can see all this action firsthand, and it makes you realize more of what's going on and what's happening, and so.
I feel like it's all worthwhile.
Right, sir, sure do.
What about your folks back over in, I think you have a wife in Dallas.
Right, my wife is in Dallas, and my parents are up in Michigan, Oregon.
Like to say anything to your dearly beloved?
Well, just that I love her and miss her, and wish she could be here with me or me back there with her.
When are you going to see her again?
I'm going on leave to Tokyo the 27th this month, and she's going to meet me there.
Hi, Sergeant. Oh, we're doing some hometowners, some interviews with people and so on. Where are you from?
I'm from San Bernardino.
Oh, well, we're just doing them from Dallas, Texas.
Hey, my brother's in Dallas. That's my wife, my sister-in-law.
Your wife and your brother and your
Yeah,
sister-in-law all
yeah.
in Dallas?
That's right.
Well, that's fabulous. How did they get there and so?
Well, let's see. My brother, he lives there. And my wife, she's an ex-GI. She got out and she's living with my brother right now.
Ex-GI?
Yeah, well, she was at Amarillo. And when I came over here, she stayed there a little bit, and then she got out and went back to, went to Amarillo. Went to Dallas.
What are you doing on the base here? What's your job?
Well, I'm working deficiency analysis. I go around bothering people.
This is going to shake your wife up and your brother too, I imagine. What would you like to say to him?
Well, I like to say hi to my fat brother and my good-looking wife and my good-looking sister-in-law.
When are you going to go back?
I leave here about 20th of February.
Good luck to you, and thanks for walking up.
Well, thank you very much.
Sergeant Jernigan, this is a far cry from home, isn't it?
That's right, sir.
What'd you do a lot of back there?
Well, in the States, I sang with the gospel quartet in Alexandria, Louisiana, and I sang solos in the various churches, Southern Baptist churches around the area.
I noticed that there's a Trinity Baptist church down in town here. You know anything about it?
Yes, sir. The pastor of this church is from Alexandria, Louisiana, where I was doing most of my evangelistic singing. And Brother Humphreys is his name, and he and his wife and children have been over here since the duration of the war, I suppose. I think this is correct.
They doing quite a work with the Vietnamese?
Yes, sir, with the Vietnamese and the military personnel also.
You get to do any singing out here?
Well, I've done a little bit, not as much as I'd like to due to my work schedule. I'm in CIC of material handling equipment, and we work 7 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day.
That seems to be about common out in this area.
Yes, sir, it is.
What do you call home now?
Hurst, Texas, 208 Hurstview Drive.
Have some loved ones there?
Yes, sir, my mother and father.
Say hi to them.
Hi.
What'd you do, Sergeant Turner, before you got into the Air Force?
Well, I just come out of high school before I come in. I was out about a month running around, working. Wasn't much to do, so I decided to come in as service and get it over with.
Where'd you go to school?
Crozier Tech.
You think it's all worth it since you've been in the service?
Yes, sir. It is.
What do you do over here?
Well, I work on forklifts, aircraft towing tractors, wreckers, and various other pieces of equipment around here that need servicing. Just about anything, really.
How's your feelings about the war?
better here than back in the States. If we don't finish it here, we might get back there.
Sergeant Williams, I notice you have some grease on you and so on. What are you doing over here for a living?
I work as a mechanic.
What'd you do before you left the States?
Oh, I work Vinegar Chevrolet.
Oh, as a mechanic?
No, just an office.
Gotta have an office job over there.
Right.
Well, why did you leave a nice, easy job like that?
Oh, I decided it's time to join the Air Force, I guess. Get something I could work at and do.
Feel like your time was coming and you'd rather have what you wanted than what you'd have to be shoved
That's
on
right.
you?
Yes.
How do you feel about what you're doing over here?
I figure it's a real big job, and we haven't got many men to do it, you know, and I'm proud to be over here doing it.
You've got a mayor back there that's very interested in your welfare. He told us to say hello to you.
Well, hello, Tommy.
How about other parents that you have?
Mr. and Miss T.G. Williams and my girlfriend, Jean Lowe. My sister.
What was that girlfriend's name again?
Jean Lowe.
Want to say anything to her?
Yes, hello, lover.
Sergeant Thornton, your sister sent your name in. Pretty nice of her, I think.
Yes, sir. I was kind of pleased to hear about it myself.
You two been pretty close most of your life?
Yes, sir. She's the only sister I have, and I really think a lot of her.
How about telling her what you do out here?
Well, our job here is to refuel aircraft on Tan Son Nhut. It's one of the busiest air bases in Vietnam, and it's kind of a job to be proud of, I think. We have many refueling units out here in the yard, and we come in every morning, and the dispatcher in the office dispatches us on a truck, and we go out, and we have radios in our trucks, and he calls the plane number and the location and what type of aircraft it is. We go service it and stand by for another one, and that's about it.
It's pretty hairy during rocket season, doesn't it?
It sure is. I had a couple of close calls around here, and well, last January I think a couple of trucks blew up, but as I say, they usually come at night, and I haven't had any night duty so far, so I guess I'm pretty lucky.
How about the people back home and some of the things happening there? This affect you in any way?
I kind of feel disgusted somewhat about the United States, but then again, I guess you find a few bad apples in every crowd, so the saying goes. The shooting of Senator Kennedy and different things, burning draft cards and all this, but I guess it's something every country has to put up with.
What do you think most about when you think about the States?
Well, I'd like to go home, see my wife and baby. The baby's due the last of July.
Last of July? How's your wife doing? Have you heard, or would you like to say anything to her at this time?
Oh, she's doing great. I just want to tell her hi and take care of herself.
Well, you look like you're pretty healthy and getting along pretty well. How's the weather out here treating you?
Hot. It's all right, though.
How many meals a day do you eat?
One.
When is that?
That's at night. It's too hot to eat in the daytime.
What do you do out here on Tan Son Nhut? What are your duties?
Well, I work on a 123 aircraft, crew chief, and we just work, keep this plane flying. We work all night and it flies all day.
Pretty rugged job, isn't it?
It's pretty hard at times.
Like to say anything finally to your wife before we go and so on? Are you going to get to be home?
I don't think I'll get to go home. If I don't, I want to tell you to take care of yourself.
Sergeant, you got a Brooklyn accent.
Well, I'm from Brooklyn.
Well, what are you doing on this program? This is for just Dallas people.
To tell you the truth, I don't know. Got messed up somewhere along the line.
I think you've got a sister, haven't you, that you're pretty close to?
Yeah, she's living in Dallas now. She's from Brooklyn.
That's why you're on the program, because she's in Dallas, and we ask people to write in and tell us about the loved ones they had over here and so on, and she wrote us and asked us to come and find you, and we have.
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't know about it right until now.
Anything you'd like to say to your sister?
Oh, hello, take care, and I'm doing fine.
What are you doing on Tan Son Nhut? What's your duty?
Working night shift, securing the base, and taking care of business.
What do you do? What did you do during TET? You were here during that time, didn't you?
Yes, I was on a QRT team, 13-man team, used for quick response and not fulfilling their capabilities, you know, with their equipment. But we made out all right.
And it shook you up, caught you by surprise, didn't it?
Right by surprise, yes.
But you responded pretty well and actually wound up saving the base, the special police that you work with.
Yes, nobody was ready at the time, but all in all, everything turned out okay.
What do you think of these little rockets that come over while you're out on the field working?
Well, okay, as long as they don't get nowhere near me.
It's good talking to you, and come to see us in Dallas.
Okay, thank you very much.
Captain Tom Dorsett, we've talked to some maintenance men out there who work on the reconnaissance plane, but you actually fly these things. Can you tell us a little bit about your job?
Well, it's high-speed, low-level reconnaissance, and it's a combination there of a pilot and a navigator, and we do a job that we think is quite necessary and quite effective. It's, I would say, a sophisticated game, something that takes a lot of training, and you might say a little bit of courage there, too. I guess you want to go into the motto of our squadron. Is that what you want?
Yeah, if you would, please.
Our squadron, we fly for the RF-4s, and our squadron motto is alone, unarmed, and unafraid. And we may be alone, we may be unarmed, but that unafraid bit, afraid we might have some problems there.
That's for the birds, isn't it?
That's for the birds, that's right.
You guys are called blackbirds, aren't you?
That's right, that's squadron bird there, and I think it's probably quite applicable because we fly quite a bit at night, and just about, I'd say, 50-50 there.
You mentioned earlier, too, that you are pretty well misunderstood as far as reconnaissance goes. Tell us a little bit more about reconnaissance and what it contains and your duties.
Well, I think that a lot of people don't understand that reconnaissance is, like I said, a very highly sophisticated game. It's something that takes a lot of training. We fly a fast aircraft. It's a supersonic aircraft, and we have highly sensitive cameras and equipment on board, and it takes a lot of skill to put the aircraft on the target over the spot that you want to be at the precise time that you want to be there. And
they kind of bomb, and then you go in after they stir up the hornets.
That's right. We've gone through on a BDA, which is a bomb damage assessment sortie, where you'd go in and take a look at what the fighter bombers have gone in before you and done, and this can be pretty grim if you're flying down some gun barrels that look pretty hot. The people are still down there waiting on you, too, and that can be pretty exciting.
You got a wife back home that loves you very much, said so in a letter, and asked us to come to see you, and we've located you. I think it'd be just right for you to say something to her.
Well, I want to thank you people for coming and looking me up, and I really do appreciate you taking the time, and I'd like to say hello to her, and that I miss her very much, and I'm looking forward to seeing her in Hawaii in about, I'd say about 4 months, and I'll be looking for that.
What do you think about duty on this America?
I like it. I mean, I don't really like it as much as I would shore duty, except, I don't know, it's pretty nice with the stores. You got more variety of stores and movies, things like that.
Pretty great for other than shore duty, though.
Other than shore duty, no, sir, I don't particularly like it.
What about what you do on this America?
I work as a electronics technician on a WFAA 122 early warning planes. So
that's a thing that looks like it has a great big mushroom growing right out of the middle of it. Can you tell me what that plane does?
Yes, it's a search radar for detecting planes before they get to our ship or our other aircraft, and just intercepting with one of our intercept. I mean,
how did a guy like you from the dry country of Texas get out in the middle of an ocean like this on an aircraft carrier like the American?
I've been wondering. I don't know. It's
looking forward to getting back?
Yes, sir, I am. In 62 days, I should be there.
You got anybody special back there?
Yes, sir, fiance and mother and father, just all sorts of friends and all.
I imagine you want to mention your fiance's name.
Yes, sir, I got Doris Mercer.
I'll say anything to her?
Just hi.
Yeah,
I'll be home
bet.
soon to say something to her.
See the rest in a few days.
Yes, sir.
What do you do out here on the America, Mr. Walker?
Work on airplanes, I guess.
What type of work?
The RA-5C. Well, I keep up the injection seat systems and the canopy and pressurization systems, survival systems for the pilot to escape in case something else goes wrong with the plane.
How do you like duty on a large thing like this USS America?
Well, you don't get a seasick as much as you do on a tin can or something like that. It's pretty easy. And at least it's a little bit bigger, a little bit more room.
You like it as well as you do shore duty?
No, I'd rather be on shore duty a whole lot.
Why?
Well, you got a car and you wear civilian clothes and you got liberty every night. Out here, you only got liberty about 4 or 5 days out of every 35 days.
You just go and blow it all and have to come back to work?
No, well, blow it all and have a good time and send a little bit home to save it.
Like to say anything to your dad back in the paint and body shop back there?
Yeah, write me a letter.
Tell us some more about that. Help your morale writing letters?
Yeah, it helps everybody's morale out here if they get letters from home, from people they went to school with or just friends or something like that.
Well, good luck to you.
Okay, thank you.
Larry, what do you do here on this USS America?
I work in communication, radio communication division here on board.
Exactly what duties do you have?
Well, mainly I work in transmitter space. We bring out the transmitters for the different frequencies going out, and we also clean antennas while we are in port.
How long have you been on board?
I've been on board for 18 months.
Get pretty hectic?
Sometimes, yes, quite a bit. But we know we got to be out here and we got a job to do, and we do our best to do it and do it good.
From the headlines, you're doing a pretty good job.
Thank you very much. We try our best.
You have a lot of esprit de corps?
Say again, sir?
You have a lot of esprit de corps, a lot of spirit here on the ship?
Yes, sir. The spirit here is good, considering that we go out for quite a few days and don't get in. And overall, excellent spirit.
Like to say anything to your folks?
Just hello, and I'll be seeing them soon.
Soon?
Very soon, about 27 days.
What's your duty on the America?
My duty on America is aviation logbooks maintenance, and I take care of the logbooks and clerical work for the aircrafts.
This your first sea duty?
No, it isn't. I've been over here twice before, and this makes the third.
What ship were you on before, or what ships?
I was attached to the USS Kitty Hawk twice.
There's a little bit difference between the Kitty Hawk and this one, isn't it?
Yes, I would say so. I prefer the Kitty Hawk over this one.
Oh, really? We build this one up as the newest and largest in the whole American Navy, and you say you like the Kitty Hawk better. You have any reason?
Well, to my belief, I think the Kitty Hawk was better prepared for this type of mission over here, but that is my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit of a different type of mission from what America was preparing for, I suppose. What type of mission would you describe this as in this area?
Well, as of right now?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's, you have ships going out and reconnaissance, and I see camera ships and so on and so forth. What type of mission are you on right now without getting into anything classified?
Well, I really couldn't say. I mean, it would be getting classified then, I'm afraid.
I see I sneaked one up on you there and didn't really mean to, just seemed to fall into it. What about ship duty on a large ship like this? Does this present problems, or is this better duty usually?
I would think it would be better duty than on your smaller boats, because you've got so much more luxury stores and your soda fountains and your small stores, and it's much more convenient. But I still prefer shore duty.
Good luck to you, and I hope to see you back in the States. Don, what are you doing aboard the America?
Well, loading rockets, bombs, missiles, board our aircraft.
How long have you been in the Navy?
13 years.
Has this become a natural thing to you, taking these cruises and so on?
No, this is my first one.
First cruise in 13 years?
Yes, sir.
What kind of a Navy is it?
Landlubbers.
How come you got on the America finally? Is there a reason? Or?
Well, I've never been on a cruise, and I wanted to see just a little more of the world.
You enjoying the duty?
Well, sometimes.
Helps with the money situation.
Yes, sir. Save lots of money here.
What about this things taking off and going over Vietnam and coming back and all? You worry while they're gone?
No, sir. We just wait and see if it's one of the ones that's going to return.
How about people back home? Where do you live and your loved ones there? Would you like to say anything to them?
Well, tell my kids and my sister and mother and all hi. And don't worry about me riding. Sometimes I don't get time.
Pretty busy out here?
Yes, sir.
Well, we wish you all the luck, and I hope you get back to land pretty soon.
So do I.
Well, I just wish people would realize what the guys over here are fighting for, and maybe they wouldn't be so eager to fight back home.
What do you do here on the American?
I'm a storekeeper. I work in the ship supply department. We keep the ship supplied with all the parts that's needed to run it.
Keep you pretty busy?
Yes, sir. Real busy.
A lot of people on here, aren't there? About, what, 5,000?
Approximately 5,000, yes.
You have to take care of all these guys.
Well, we have to supply the parts to keep them busy. It's our job.
What seems to be the morale here?
Well, we're getting close to port. Morale is picking up. People, we look forward to these ports because it's so long in between the port periods that we really look forward to it.
Your mom's back there at home. I imagine she'd like to hear you say something to her especially.
Well, she knows I'm getting ready to come home. I only have about 35 days, and they can look forward to a fishing trip.
Good deal. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
John, you're out here in the Pacific. Your girl's about 10,500 miles away, and I imagine you've had lots of thoughts about her and lots of things you'd like to say. So take a minute and have at it.
Well, I'd just like to make a special hello to her, and I hope she's doing okay. And to my folks, I'd like for them to have a good time at the Hemisphere this year. And a special hello to my relatives.
Have you heard much about the Hemisphere out here?
No, not too much, but I expect to whenever they get back.
When are you going to get back?
I'm supposed to December the 10th, but I kind of have my personal doubts about that. I can't really be for sure.
You going to get married?
Yes, January the 3rd.
Looking forward to that?
Oh, very much.
Well, then I imagine in closing you'd like to say something very special to her, so go ahead and say a personal word, and we'll close our eyes and shut off our ears.
Well, she knows I really think a lot about her.
Jack, you seem to be a little self-conscious today. Got a reason?
Oh, yes. I just had some teeth removed and kind of self-conscious about it.
How come? Yeah, why the teeth removed, and what about the job you get here? Do you have good dental care like that here?
Yes, sir, we sure do. We have a very fine dentist down there in Pick Bay.
Now that you're talking to me a little bit more and smiling once in a while, I can see what you mean.
Yes. It's kind of embarrassing, I guess. I kind of ashamed of myself.
Well, you shouldn't be. It's nothing. Everybody's going to have it done sooner or later, a lot of us anyway. What do you do here on the ship, Jack?
I'm VF-33, and I'm day check supervisor of the airframe shop.
And what does that consist of exactly?
We do all structural repair on our aircraft and hydraulic plumbing, which is within the aircraft itself.
How long have you been in the Navy?
About 13 years now.
How's duty here on the USS America?
She's real well. She's real good. I've made a couple flying cruises on this ship, and sure see a lot.
Joe, what do you do out here?
I'm a plane captain for the F-4J Phantom 2.
Just about like this one behind us.
Yeah, it's exactly like that one back there.
I understand that you had some bad luck.
Yeah, last Sunday, I believe it was, mine got shot down.
How about the pilot and crew?
Well, the RO they don't know about, and the pilot, he ejected and got out, but they made radio contact with him, but they believe he's POW now because they didn't get radio contact again the next day.
Kind of hurts something like that happens to guys that you get kind of close to, doesn't it?
Yes, it sure does.
Let's change the subject a minute, Joe. You've got a wife back in the States. I know she'd like to hear from you, and I guess you've got some things you'd like to say to her.
No, yeah. One day I'd like to have some more of them Tipsy balls, you know.
What are those?
Yeah, that's a bourbon candy.
Pretty good?
Oh, that's real good. You can't beat it out here on the ship for 30 days like this.
Guys enjoy it?
Yes, sir. It's,
About the strongest thing you have out here is water, isn't it?
Water and Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid? Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Not this stuff down here, though.
Imagine the officers were wondering how in the world you guys with chocolate all over your lips got so tipsy.
That's the truth, yeah.
Well, say something to her and we'll let you go, Joe.
Well, okay, honey, I love you, and I'll see you in December. Well, okay, honey, I love you, and I'll see you in December.
Robert, what do you do out here on the America?
I'm a plane captain for VA-85.
Could you explain a little bit more in depth what you do and what these duties are?
Well, I get up at the sound of flight quarters, pre-flight my airplane, daily it, and make sure it's ready for the upcoming hops when I'm sent out for a battle mission. We take care of the pilot's gear, their instruments, make sure everything's in proper running order when they come to man the planes for their mission.
In other words, the pilots depend pretty heavily on what you do before they take off.
Pretty much so, yes, sir.
When they do take off, you start having butterflies?
Oh, in a way, it crosses your mind that maybe you'd forgotten a pin, or maybe you've forgotten or overlooked a wheel well leak or something like this. It might not come back, but it just crosses your mind. It really doesn't stay very long.
When you're standing up here on deck and you look up into that blue and you see your baby coming back, you feel pretty good?
Well, it feels wonderful. It's great to see it coming down the glide path. It's at least you know you've done your job well. The pilot and Ben have gotten back safely, and a mission zone gets put on the side of your plane. In the form of my plane, it's a missile. But I'm flying an A6B.
Your mother and dad over there are real proud of you and what you're doing, and I'm sure they'd like to have a word from you.
Well, can't say too much except hello and take care.
Want them to keep riding?
Oh, definitely. Everybody.
Tom, I think you've got a good gripe. Would you like to tell us about it?
Nobody's writing, and that's one thing I really like to get is a whole bunch of letters. In a way, I've got plenty of time out here, and I'm willing to write. And it takes 7 or 8 days to get here, so just plain old write.
Well, the thing is, I think you don't get any mail for quite a while, then you get a bunch of it at a time. But when you don't get any at a certain one, then you have to wait double that long, don't you?
Yes, sir.
So it's actually probably better for them to write a lot of short ones than one long one every so often.
Yeah. Well, I get one from my oldest sister weekly if she gets a chance around to it. She's more or less the second mother to me. I tell her all my problems, and she tells me what to do, and I usually do it.
If you had your way, would you like each one to write on a separate day back there so you just keep getting them regularly?
Doesn't make any difference to me.
Just right. Huh?
Yeah.
Are you pretty close to this sister?
Yes. She just more or less takes care of me like a mother does in a way.
What would you like to say something to about what you do here on board the ship?
Oh, I work in the squadron ready room. I tell all the officers the weather information, keep them up to date what's happening, and tell them if we'll be able to fly this event. I run errands for them. Just more or less, work with them in general, just keeping them happy.
I think you've got a special girlfriend out there. Some short words to her?
Yeah, well, I wish you'd write a little bit more often.
She's pretty busy out at North Texas, though, isn't she?
Yeah, she's majoring in something to do with music. I forget what she calls it.
Drop it all and write anyway.
Yeah, and I'll be glad to get back to Denton in November so I can come up and see her.
Ralph, what are you going to do when you get out of this Navy?
Well, I plan either to be an auto mechanic as I was before I came in, or in hydraulics as I am here now.
The Navy's had some influence then on your future, perhaps?
Yes, very much. But I don't plan to stay in.
Why not?
Well, I just can't get used to going when I get ready to go. Of course, I guess I ought to be used to it by now, but I'm not.
What about the duty out here? You like it? You don't like it? You say you like to go when you get ready to go, but is this too much of a sacrifice?
Well, no, I'm kind of used to that part of it, but it's the good parts about it out here that I like is the money and the duty. There's long hours and a lot of work. Right now we have a lot of machinery broke down in my division alone.
When you finally get off, you have any trouble sleeping?
No, I don't. I sure don't. Not a problem there. Just not enough of it.
Dane, what's the most important thing about all of this as far as you're concerned?
I believe that if we get all you people at home to pray for us over here, this thing will hurry up and end. I know that you worry about us, and we'll be taken care of if you do this. We want you to know that we all worry about you over here. Our wife, I tell you, Diane, that I love you very much, and I love all my friends and relatives, and I just really be pleased if y'all would pray for us and help us get back home quick.
Now, we discussed this a little while before you got on, and you said that you weren't particularly close to God until you got out here. Could you tell us about that a little bit?
Well, I wasn't close to God as I should be, and once he got me out here, he taught me to be close to him and what we're fighting for, the freedom that we have to worship him. If we don't take care of it over here, well, it's going to hit home shores, and he doesn't want that. But if we don't get close to God and let him live in our lives, well, he won't look after us over here. We just need him to back us up and give us support we need.
What about the guys on this ship and generally throughout the Navy and the people that you run into and so on? Do they seem as religious as formerly, or more religious, or less, or what?
Well, it seemed like maybe on the whole that they're not as religious as maybe they feel in their heart. The big thing is if they just don't be ashamed of it or anything. If they just live it as they really feel it.
You think they really feel it then, but most of them are just don't mention it, basically.
I believe that if they just bring it out and just bring it out of their heart.
Thank you very much, sir, and appreciate it. Mr. Patton, you got into the Navy quite a while ago.
Yes, I've been in over 20 years now. I was in the Pacific during the Second World War, and made a couple of invasions, went to the occupation of Japan, and I left Japan on Easter Sunday 22 years ago this year, and this will be my first time to be back in the Westpac. I'm anxious to see some of the old sites.
You happy you got in?
Yes, I really am. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I think that if I had it to do over again, I'd start right back where I did when I came in when I was 17.
Thank you very much, sir. Dick, what are you doing in this man's Navy?
Well, I work on the radar in Phantom 2.
Here on the America, how do you like the duty?
Well, it's pretty good, I guess. I can't complain, really. It's better than being out there.
Not as good as being at home?
No, not quite.
How would you compare it with portside?
Well, it's one the same, I guess.
You get pretty close to the war out here, or does it seem pretty remote to you?
Well, actually, at night, it seems like we're pretty close because you can see some of the bombing off. But I don't know. We're doing our share, I think. Really do. America's doing a good job.
Pretty proud that you're over here and feel that you know why?
Yes, I am. I really am. I feel kind of bad, you know, about the Kennedy thing because, I don't know, it just makes you seem like the people aren't doing what they should be doing at home.
Like to say anything to that aunt over in Fort Worth, or that uncle?
Well, just hello, and if you can, tell my folks.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good luck. Brown, some 10,500 miles away, your mother and your wife sent us some letters and said that we should look you up. So here we are in Da Nang doing that. Would you like to tell them what you do out here?
Well, I don't really do much anything but just play around, go out on patrols and stuff like that.
That's playing around. Explain exactly your duties, could you?
Well, I'm a radio man, and I go out on patrols, long-range patrols, and we look for people, reconnaissance.
How do you usually find them?
Just looking. I mean, sometimes they find us, and sometimes we find them. And usually they find us.
What happens when you find them or they find you?
Well, it all depends on how far they are from us when we find them. And sometimes it don't work out too good. Sometimes we call in some artillery and they leave us alone.
And you get a list of probables afterward?
Well, when we call in artillery, if we can see the people, then we have the probables. But if we can't see them, sometimes we get an AO out there, and he gives us probables or confirms.
You haven't seen your wife in quite a while.
I hadn't seen her since February.
You're going to see her pretty soon?
Yeah, I'm going on R&R to Hawaii next month.
You want to say anything to her before you Before she leaves and before you leave?
Well,
if you do, she's right there.
I just want to tell her I'm really anticipating this. Hope it's fun.
Should be.
I know I'm looking forward to it.
Miss you folks, too?
Yeah, I miss them a lot.
Corporal, you were involved in something called Operation Swift. Could you tell us about it in detail?
Yes, sir. Operation Swift was we made contact with the enemy after they had overran 1-5 area. We was dropped in by a helicopter, which the enemy was all over. There was red, green traces, and we didn't think we was going down, but choppers took us down anyway, and it was shot out, so we had to hit the ground. The enemy was so close around, we had to pop red pom-poms and just sit in one place and shoot. Everybody that moves was shot. The enemy was so close that sometimes he'd walk even right by us and didn't even know who we were. We sit there and we fought until daybreak. And at daybreak, the enemy was pushing off, and we only had 1-5 was so shot up they couldn't get organized. After that, we was only one company, and we was trying to push them, which Recon then told us that we was pushing 3 regiments. I guess they found out about it, and then they turned around and tried to run over us, but we called in the abstracts, Phantoms, and Artie, along with us and a few Army troops, finally turned them back.
That's pretty exciting. What about what you're doing right now? I think you're in charge of a good deal of men and so on. Could you tell us about that? You've been pulled from the field, I think, finally.
So finally I've been pulled from the field. I have 12 months and 20 days over here. In 10 days I hope to go home. I used to be a patrol leader, which normally I take between 8 and 15 men, which you will take 8 men on a hump and 15 men on a permanent OP. We haven't ran into too much, but we see a few. We call in Artie mostly. Then we run and hide. We don't try to make too much contact.
You were a track star and a football star, weren't you, at Texas Southern?
Yes, sir. I was a 2-time All-American in football, and track that's pretty fair. I can't say too much about that.
But you're using it pretty much now, right?
Yes, sir. Very much.
How long have you been in this man's Marine Corps?
I've been in the Marine, well, not in the Marine Corps, sir, but I've been in the Navy about 15 and a half years now.
I see. Well, with these uniforms on around here, it's a little bit hard to tell at times. You get pretty relaxed in the sun, huh?
Yes, sir.
What do you think about the heat?
It's fairly warm here. It's not quite as bad as some places I've been, but it gets to be rather warm.
In that length of time, I guess you've been quite a few places. How long have you been here?
Since February.
And that means you have until next February before you complete your tour?
Yes, sir.
What do you do in this particular group?
Well, at present, I am the petty officer in charge of our company office, which consists of supervising 2 personnel that do the typing and so forth for us. And we do all our reports, things of this nature, upkeep of records. And this.
I think you have some parents and so on in Waxahachie. You get any news from down around that area?
Yes, sir. I hear from my parents once or twice a week, and they tell me a lot about the folks and how the church and so forth is doing, and this helps the morale of us over here.
Like to say anything to them?
Well, hello, Mom, Dad.
Pete, I understand you're a driver over here.
Yes, I drive an ambulance and trucks, do a little bit of everything.
Does weather remind you a little bit about Texas?
Well, in a way it does, but I think it's just a little bit hotter than Texas.
Humidity.
That's it.
What do you think about, when you think about home, have some time to sit around and think and so on, what comes to mind first?
Well, usually I think about my mother, but I don't know, it's just natural, I guess, that I'm always thinking of my mother and worrying about her. But
you're worrying about your mother and you're over here in Da Nang?
Well, I don't know, it just seems like I'm in a pretty safe place right now, so I always think of my mother first. So.
Any other things that you might think about as far as things go around the hometown and so on?
Oh, I miss my running around, that's about it.
Kind of running around do you miss most?
Well, I used to have plenty of girlfriends around here. You can't get any girls. So it's a little hard getting used to it. And I don't know, I guess after I'm ready to leave, I'll have enough fun over here.
A lot of people are wondering about you way out here in the boonies. You'd like to assure them you're okay?
Yes, sir. I like to say hello to my mother and my sister and my Aunt Bee, and hello to Kathy, too.
What's your job?
I work in the S2 section, that's the intelligence section, and our job is keep the companies, the grunts they're called, informed of what's in the area, and like they rotate in the areas, and like they got 3 sections here, and they booby traps here, and what to look for here and there, and what not to do.
What do you feel about the war when you're stationed out right in front of it like this?
I can remember back home, it's a different thing being here. I'd like to see it over with as soon as possible. I mean, since I've been here, I've seen a lot of buddies get hurt, and it'd just be just all that much better to see some kind of agreement made. And sure, we have a purpose here, but it'd be a whole lot better when it's over.
You feel that you're fully appreciated, or you feel we're making great strides or some strides?
We're making certainly a compliment of us being here, but it's not known. It's not what it should be. People should be with us, and yet they're not. And the people that are not are more hurt than the ones that are with us. And it's the way it shouldn't be.
Pretty rugged up in these hills, and I think you've seen part of it, and especially on one sweep. Could you tell us about that, please?
We held one sweep through a ville about southwest of Da Nang MSR Road, and we were the actual sweep force, India Company, and we captured about 4 VC and killed 3. One was a confirmed MVA, and we captured a lot of rice on that sweep too.
Things are a little more quiet right now, aren't they?
Yes, they're a whole lot quieter since I've been over. I've been over 4 months.
I imagine you miss your loved ones back there. Would you like to say something to them?
I sure do. I've got a fiancée. Her name is Dorothy Snow, and I'd like to say thank you for your letters. I really do miss you a whole lot, and those letters sure do help.
Anything you'd like to say to your folks?
I'd like to thank my stepmother and my dad and my own mother for their letters, and all my sisters and brothers for their letters also.
Bill, did you know we were coming?
Yes, sir. I really did, I guess. My mother wrote me a letter, but I really didn't think you'd ever make it out here, you know, because out here in the boonies, we hardly ever get anybody come out and see us. Something like this is really something spectacular, I guess you could say.
Well, thank you. What do you call this place?
We nicknamed it Death Valley, you know, when we first got here, and it's been kind of the dry spot of the area here for a while.
Yeah, I noticed you got a lot of sand and heat and shots going off in the background. Tell us some of your experiences, Bill.
Oh, well, it's not really delightful experiences we've had here. I've had quite a few of my buddies get killed. One captain that was a real good friend of mine from Texas, he was out on Operation Allenbrook, and he went into his flak jacket to get his map out, and sniper must have zeroed in on him or something. Shot him 5 times before he ever hit the ground. Wasn't very good at all. Quite a few of my buddies. One buddy, it's an 81s. He was out there and they got ambushed, and he got it through the arm. A guy named Johnson. He's gone back to the States to get a medical discharge now.
For your folks' sake, you're in supply, and you say that's relatively safe.
Well, that's relatively safe, yes. We go out on security for S5 every once in a while. It's not really bad. I hadn't shot any gooks yet.
What's your duty out here, sir?
Normally I'm the assistant gunner on a 105 millimeter howitzer, sir.
Exactly what have you been involved in out in this Death Valley area?
Well, we've been involved in fire missions against insurgent communist forces, commonly known as the VC. And my job on the howitzer normally is to lay for range, which gives a distance to the shell that we fire, be it HE, WP, or illumination, whichever one it is.
You get to see much of the infantry when they get pretty well beat up out here?
Not normally. Usually they, if they get hit out in the field, they medevac them right there on the spot, if they can get a chopper in at the time.
But give a boost to your morale, knowing if anything serious happens to you way out here, you'll be medevaced immediately?
Yes, sir, it sure does. If anything was to happen to us, it's say like if we went on operation, it would really lift my morale to know that we would have somebody there on the spot to take us out to be medically treated.
You got a wife about 100 feet away, according to this celluloid we work on. Would you like to say anything to her?
Yes, sir, I sure would. I sure miss her, and I wish I was back home with her right now.
Corporal, what do you do out here?
I'm in the 81's Mortar Platoon of H&S Company 327.
And exactly what are your duties?
I'm a squad leader. I'm in charge of five men at a time, running the gun here for support for headquarters.
I understand that recently you had quite an action out there and you had quite a little experience. Could you tell us about some of them?
Yes, I went out with my section and I. We went out with India Company into Operation Allenbrook, and we was out there about 8 days, and we were hit with strong enemy fire. We dropped about 21 people that were wounded in action, and we had 1 or 2 KIAs that was killed in action, and quite a few heat strokes out there.
This place has gotten pretty hairy, hasn't it?
Yeah, between the enemy's fire and the heat, it's kind of hard to beat over here.
You catch some mortar rounds and so on?
Yes, seems like they're running in months around here. The other night we caught about 6 incoming mortar rounds, and we catch a few rocket rounds occasionally, and small arms about every other night, something like that.
Like to say anything to your parents back home?
Yes, I would. I'd like to thank you first of all for coming over here and giving us a chance to talk to our folks back home. I'd like to tell my folks I love them very much, and it may sound dangerous and everything, but we're still okay and everything, and looking forward to coming home one of these days.